Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning, and welcome to The Drip with myself, Dallas Pruitt. And today, we're actually going to do a little bit different take on today's episode. I want to read through an experience that I had, a pretty humbling, grounding experience that I had this past week here in my hometown in the wake of the shootings that have happened across the country, or the elementary school shooting in Nashville. There was a hoax. I'm sure many of you, or if you haven't, there was a hoax last week following the shootings of people calling in, somebody calling in and reporting false active shooter scenarios and situations at particular high schools and schools across the country. My hometown was hit. My high school, where I actually used to teach, was hit, and as a result, my children's elementary school also got locked down, and we received some pretty scary messages, not knowing details. Here's the story. I have a good friend. I have many good friends in the school system, and once I heard, I messaged him, and this was our conversation. I said, "Praying for you and everyone. Is there an active shooter, or is it a threat?" "I'm not sure of details," he said. "We are on lockdown. I secured the door and locked the C building doors, and I'm waiting in my room with my class. Sounds like police are sweeping the building now." I responded, and then in response to my response, he said, "Sorry, man, I just noticed your last text. Love you too. I appreciate you thinking about us. It was a very sobering, surreal day. I am mentally and emotionally exhausted. It's a very similar feeling that I get as I coach the last baseball game of the year and seniors take off. It's hard, and it hits me hard. I feel it again today. I also feel like a small part of my soul was removed, and I'm not sure if it will return. I'm happy, but I'm pissed it was a hoax. The only thing I could think of is that if I survived, what students and or co-workers were dead." He continued and gave me a play-by-play, and here's what he said. And this is extremely impactful. I want everybody to hear and listen to this closely. "I knew quickly that it definitely was not a drill. I started my protocol before an announcement was made. I heard 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And all the other sirens not going away from the school, but coming to the school and staying. That was different because usually I hear sirens go away from the school from the police department. I told my students that I was locking the classroom door and that I was going to lock the outside doors. I'm supposed to. I said, if I'm not back, do not open the door for anybody. Once I got back, I told them to be quiet, then moved them away from the door. Some kids were nervous. Some kids were crying. Some kids seemed like they were happy because they were getting out of classwork. I reassured them that I would do whatever the hell I could to protect them, and if somebody comes through that door, they are going to get the best of me before they get them. That was pretty sobering. The next thing I know, I'm hearing law enforcement searching and shouting in the C building halls, communicating tactically, banging on things, being loud, yelling through the door and asking if anybody was in there that didn't belong. Then for at least 20 minutes, it was silent. Every sound I heard had me on high alert. The police came back through a second time and reassured the building was clear and that everything was going to be fine and everybody was going to be safe. There was no threat. They instructed us to keep our door closed and be quiet until they came around again with more instructions. They came around again, and before they opened my door, they yelled, SFPD, we're going to open the door, but everybody put your hands in the air and no sudden movements. Then they put all the classes in the C building in the wrestling room for another 20 minutes. Then we had to walk single file out to the football field as law enforcement followed us with ARs in hand on red alert. Then we went to the football field for about 45 minutes to an hour. Kids started to be checked out of school. I left at 2:30. My student stuff was still in my room. Police would not let them take anything out of the room with them when we went to the wrestling room. I messaged him back and told him about how my wife and I hit our knees and started praying for miracles the second we heard details and didn't know fully what was going on. And I shared with him my feelings. I told him that I felt anger and sadness and relief and everything else all at the same time. It was a tough day to process. Changes your perspective and wakes you up. And then I sent a message, and I hope I can be vulnerable with everybody here. And I said, part of me wants to film kids and their families thriving and not living in fear. Find this loser who pulled what he did today and send him all these videos and say, hey, you mother blank, we will not live in fear. Your tactics didn't work. The fear is what makes me angry. It makes me so mad. I just want you to know my heart and my mind were fully and completely back at SFHS today and will be for the next few weeks. I love you all. He responded back and said, prayers were answered. Thanks. I love you too. I'm not sure if I fully process everything yet. I'm going to go to school tomorrow, put a smile on my face, and fist bump every single student I see in the hallway that walks through my door. Hopefully I can fall asleep soon. Love you, brother. We can be uplifted with other things this next upcoming weekend. And he shared some specific experiences that he and I will be sharing this weekend through our faith. I just wanted to share this today. Again, it's outside of the normal sequence with the drip, but it is very applicable and really more applicable than ever. Look, the things we go through on a day-to-day basis are tough. Growing a business is tough, but sometimes just navigating this world is tough. It's a weird place right now with a lot of hate and a lot of confusion. And it's more important than ever that we show up the best version of ourselves that we possibly can every day. My response to him was, love you too, man, and agreed on this weekend front with our shared faith. I said, show up. That's the one thing we can always do to make a difference. Just show up. And that's what I understood from his message was, hey, I'm going to show up tomorrow, and I'm going to show up the best that I possibly can. And that is today's invite. With all the chaos that ensues as we continue down our paths, we must remember that sometimes the best thing we can do when things are chaotic, when things are crazy, when things aren't perfect, when things are going awry and things are in disarray and we're confused and bogged down, sometimes the most impactful thing we can do is just show up. Just show up. Be present. And do your best. My message for everybody today is let's all be a little more like my good friend who's a hero in my eyes, who's a high school teacher. The men and women who showed up, law enforcement, and sweep that building and showed up within seconds. Let's be like them. Let's be like them in our businesses. Let's be like them in our homes. Let's be like them in every facet of our lives and live a little more courageously. Let's show up. Let's just show up. And however that looks for you in showing up, do that. And strive to just be a little bit better at it every single day. The world needs more of it. The world needs us to show up. And I hope that we can garner some perspective from this story, this real life situation that we lived through this past week, and humble ourselves and sober ourselves to the reality that we can make an impact. We can be a difference maker. We can be a change agent. And we can show up. We can show up every day. Thank you for letting me share this personal experience and be a little bit vulnerable, more so than I usually am here on the drip today, on this little extended drip. And appreciate you all. Go show up for your community. Go show up for your business. Go show up for your family. Go show up for yourself. Go show up for others. And little by little, we can continue to combat this evil and hate that exists out there in the world and make a difference. Have a great day, and we'll see you guys back here again tomorrow.